Hey everybody, welcome to Everyday Chaplain. I'm Drew, and I'm here with my good friend Andy Pursley, who is a sheriff's chaplain, and we're going to ask him a few questions about what does it take to be a sheriff's chaplain and how did he get involved, and see if it's maybe something that's right for you. So, Andy, thanks for being here today.
Drew, it's awesome to be on your video channel and excited to share my heart about chaplaincy.
Cool. Okay. Well, thanks for being here. Maybe first question we could start off. You are a sheriff's chaplain.
Yeah.
How did you get involved with that?
Well, it began, my brother was a deputy sheriff at Collin County, and he had been a chaplain before, and he encouraged me to be a part of it, great ministry, and I wanted to be a part of his life, and wanted to see what he saw, and we moved into the same community together, and so I made application, went through a long, rigorous process that every cop even has to go through a polygraph exam and background checks and things like that, and was able to be awarded the opportunity to be a chaplain for Collin County Sheriff's Department. They handed me a gold badge, and it began the process of a new journey, and I was challenged with this. They said, would you be our chaplain, but your number one priority is not necessarily the people that you're responding to, but your first service is to our sheriff's deputies. Okay. And the other thing he challenged, he said, in your area, this is the undersheriff talking to me, there are many agencies, and we would like to see those agencies working together in collaboration out of the West End.
So, like other agencies like fire department, the hospital, things like that?
And La Push Police Department, Washington State Patrol, and Forks PD, and obviously District Fire 1 and the ambulance, all that. Because out there, everybody goes to the exact same calls and works together all the time.
Okay. Well, so you were a pastor while you were doing this, and so this has kind of been like a side ministry for your church and for you?
Yeah, I always feel like my base ministry is the pastor of the church, but I always feel like I need to pastor a community, and especially a small community like Forks. Being a chaplain gives you the opportunity to step out and shepherd your whole area. Some people call it a parish, but this is my community. I shepherd it, and a lot of times when crisis comes down the line, and you're dealing with volunteer firefighters and volunteer ambulance crews, you're dealing with sheriff deputies that are by themselves, often not working in teams. There's an overwhelming sense of what do we do with this family who's just lost someone, and it's been a tragic accident. And in order for them to continue to do what they do, they call a chaplain in to help facilitate care for that family. And then also follow up with the firefighters who pulled the body out of the car, and those people that are still processing that emergency. So as a chaplain, you provide a ministry of presence when you show up on an accident or a scene, and it brings peace and calm to everybody who's involved. And so that's what I love about it. I really do love about it. In fact, it was the number one thing I was afraid to do. I remember telling Pastor Art Moreland, who was a chaplain out there for years, I said, Art, I can do sermons, I can do board meetings, I can lead communion, but the one thing I just can't see myself doing is responding to an emergency and helping family who just lost a child or a loved one. And Art began to cry. He was riding in my pickup, and he said, Andy, it's called the ministry of presence. And you don't have to say a whole lot. You just show up to a scene and the presence of Jesus Christ is with you, and you don't even know it, but you are ministering to people you're not even speaking to yet. And the thing that I was afraid of the most became the centerpiece of my ministry out in Forks, Washington.
That's pretty cool. So it's the ministry of presence, not just to the people that you're responding to, but it's also the ministry of presence and the follow-up in those relationships with the sheriff's department and those other ones that you get to meet in those crisis moments. Yes. And so really what it is a ministry of presence, not just to your church and to a few, but you actually become a ministry of presence almost in a way to your whole community. Yeah. That is really cool.
It was interesting. My last accident I responded to, Highway 101 was completely blocked, shut down, and I'm trying to get my civilian rig, because I'm just driving a truck up as close as I can. And then I just start walking the highway, and I'm walking out past all these cars who are sitting there like, who is this guy? What's happening? Feeling confident to walk onto a scene, and you're first greeted by a firefighter, says, Chaplain Pursley, I want to go show you what's going on here. Then you're greeted by a sheriff's deputy. Then you're greeted by the Washington State Patrol, and they're like, the family's over here, and they're gearing you up. And it's just this awesome opportunity to minister that I've been doing this for 9 years and have seen an effect that you can just walk on a scene, you're known, and at ease because of Christ and the power of the Holy Spirit, everybody's nerves calm down. Everybody can think a little clearly. They know the family's going to be taken care of so they can continue to conduct their investigation on the accident. And so it's been a great ministry to an entire community.
Thank you for sharing that. I know in my experience, sometimes just stepping in the room, it's like they feel like God is here, right? Maybe they don't understand what that means or what that looks, but you walk in with this ministry of presence and this peace of God, which I think is really important aspect of chaplaincy that we get to bring that no one else really has that assigned role. So it's kind of cool to be able to do that in chaplaincy. So one last thing before we wrap up. You said to become a chaplain, a sheriff's chaplain, you said that you did a polygraph and you did a background check. Is there any other kind of training or things that you had to do? Is there any kind of education that you needed to do something like this?
Usually you have to check in with the agency you want to work with. Typically they want an ordained minister of a denomination, a Christian denomination that can come in and step into that role, their process of hiring somebody. But a lot of agencies will then partner with you in your church to send you to a chaplaincy academy, which actually takes place in Burien, at least it used to, and the police academy there. And it's like drinking water from a fire hydrant. It is tons of information, stuff you've never even heard of in Bible school, about how to help people who are dealing with traumas, how to go on ride-alongs with officers who are dealing with PTSD, just wonderful tools that help not only be a chaplain, but help equip you to be a better pastor for your church and your community. And so I look at the agency you want to serve in, whether it's the fire department or the police department, or even what the hospital has to offer, that there's great opportunities to serve your community in a volunteer setting that allows you to pastor a community, but also gets your church the training and encouragement they need to do to follow your lead in ministry. So
that's really cool. So you can be ordained, be a recognized minister in the community is important, but you probably also have lay leaders that are also, depending on the agency, but you go to a chaplaincy training, so you're not just jumping out and doing this stuff blind. Right. You kind of get some stuff underneath your belt. And then the cool thing is you're not just taking that to the community, but what I thought I heard you say is you also get to take these skills that you learn and bring them to your church community. So it makes you a better pastor in your church or your parish. And you know, there's probably these places all over. I know you mentioned Burien. We're up in Washington. That's outside of Seattle, but no matter where you're at in the United States, there's probably something similar that they would send you to. But I think that's pretty cool. So I just want to say thank you for sharing this today, and maybe police chaplaincy, sheriff's chaplaincy is right for you as a minister or perhaps even as a lay leader. You know, our law enforcement officers and all the other emergency management, they need people that are willing to stand there and be with them and be that ministry of presence that you talked about in tough situations, because a lot of people are afraid of that, and we need people that are willing to step in and be Christ present, be God present in those moments. So I just want to say thank you for being here and sharing that with us. And
thanks for having me today.
And maybe this is the type of chaplaincy for you. Thanks for tuning in to Everyday Chaplain, and we'll see you guys next time.
When did you change that?
A while ago, I'll explain.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So, all right.